All right. Well, thanks for coming back to the Bigfoot Society podcast. I have the privilege of having Mr. Connor Flynn with me. You may know him as Bigfoot Anonymous from all over the place, from Ohio, from Florida, and he's got some crazy stories to tell. But Connor, go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit to the audience here.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me on the show, man. It was an honor to just be here with you, man. You've interviewed some of the pioneers in this game, and I love just turning on your shows when I'm falling asleep or just busy, with my day. And I I'm just glad to join the club. I'm honored. But
Thanks, man.
Connor, I'm from Ohio, originally Cleveland, right on Lake Erie, and now I live in Florida, and live in the Panhandle now. But I've been all over Florida. About 3 years ago, my house sold in Ohio. My mom was living in Indiana with her fiance. My dad already moved out. He got remarried. My sister was sadly in and out of rehab and jail, so I just needed something new. And
Gotcha.
referee flag football, and every January
Mm.
staple in my life. So I took the passenger seat out of my car and I built a bed, and I was just like ready to hit the road and see what happens. And I had plans to stay at national parks and at marinas, at 24-hour grocery stores. I did a bunch of research about living out of your car, and all the crazy shortcuts and little key things you have to know, but and look out for. And through my research, I found couch surfing. It's this app like Facebook for travelers. And my first people I got accepted by were a punk rock musical. Well, it was a punk rock band, and they just got accepted into a Orlando Fringe Festival for a full hour and a half long show. And I was lucky enough to be there on the ground floor. And they ended up taking me in, and I got hired on as the stage manager and ended up acting in the show too. And it was just so crazy. It was right up my alley. There was witches, swamps, the Holy Grail, and a lot of weird stuff. And we played at like dingy bars all around Florida.
Wow.
And I was really thrown into like the DIY culture and like the true Florida culture. I had no choice but to just keep up. And we did group meditations and a lot of like stuff that would be considered dark arts. We went into the graveyards, meditated under trees that were known as some dark, like hanging trees with the Civil War, and a
Oh,
lot
wow.
of crazy
Really?
history. And we met a lot of wild people and did a lot of crazy things and played a lot of cool shows. I learned how to not master guitar, but I found my sound in guitar, and I found myself.
Mm.
And they all called me the couch surfer, the couch potato, the key. But I was just happy just to take it in. And Lakeland is so full of scary stories and paranormal. There's giant gators that are 20 feet long. The
Whoa.
by the Lake Mirror. It's this gate that goes under Lakeland, the city. And I'm all about tunnels and caverns and what's
Mm-hmm.
beneath, as above, so below. And the Polk Theater is very famous, and we did the Rocky Horror Picture Show experience there. And I just
Oh,
really
yeah, sure.
into like the crystal vibe, Halloween, a bunch of music. I got to film a movie. I got to be in a part of a short film. The feature length film was called At the End of the Day, and it was a LGBTQ church movie, and it was really cool. There was this guy from Sleepy Hollow, another guy from the Punisher. So it was just I
With
just
the
got
actual like
into
movies,
life and
like
just
the
started
actual movie,
rolling.
The Punisher.
Yeah, the Punisher. Yeah, his name was
Really?
the first Punisher, when Thomas
Hmm.
Jane stabs the guy through the chin and you can see the knife in
Oh
his.
my goodness.
That's the
Ooh,
character.
wow.
He's the bad guy in my movie too. And
Oh, okay.
I'm big on like the Kevin Bacon 7 Degrees of
Yeah,
Kevin.
yeah, yeah. No, totally. Yeah, I'm all about Kevin. What is it?
He's in a movie.
Degrees of
That
Kevin
Tom guy
Bacon.
is
Yeah,
in a movie with John Goodman, and then John Goodman is in Death Sentence with Kevin Bacon. So I'm
that's
like,
awesome.
and
Oh
it's
my goodness.
it's cool. But yeah, I got thrown into the Florida culture, and then Hurricane Irma hit, and then did a year of not seeing anybody I knew. And then in the meantime, my mom moved to the Panhandle, right,
Mm,
and so I moved in with her for a little bit, and then I got a trailer right down the street, right here. And
okay.
7 months later, got hit by Hurricane Michael, the worst storm
Oh,
ever make landfall in America. And like 70 people lost their lives, and we were in here for a while, and the place was rocking. And I finally convinced my sister to let's go to my mom's. Let's go to mom. She's got a stable place. And we were through the storm, and there was a lot of damage in my mom's house, and we survived. And when the eye was over us, it was like psychedelic. And I'm pretty mentally strong, and I'm into crazy stuff, but like that night I had trouble sleeping, man. I had
oh yeah.
the human body is not supposed to hear those kind of sounds and that kind of
Mm,
ring. And yeah, it was just crazy. But it's been a
mm,
crazy 3 years, but I couldn't really ask for anything less. And I forgot to mention during the summer in Lakeland,
mm-hmm.
inspired a trip to Los Angeles. They're like, Connor, if you can couch surf and find people, then we can do it. And I'm like, dude, if you find your destined path, all your needs will be met in abundance, man. So we went to LA and back and stopped in New Orleans, Dallas, Jackson, Mississippi,
Okay. Okay.
Las Cruces, Grand Canyon. So we just traveled for the whole summer, hitting all these crazy spots. We went to the JFK assassination place, the dripping
Wow.
springs in New Mexico. They're really famous for the desert ape, the Mogollon monster.
Yeah, dude. Totally. Yep. Yep.
50 cryptids, or was it 50 cryptids or 30 cryptids? And
It, it was best intentions, and then some stuff happened in personal life, and then it was like I got 5 in and I need to finish, but
hey,
it,
you
it
you
will. It
started.
will.
We could just
That's
continue
right. We'll keep going.
at the next letter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm excited.
Man, that's crazy. So, okay, that fills in a lot of blanks because like I was looking through your Instagram, like how does this guy get to all these, like he's in the Grand Canyon, he's in New Orleans, Louisiana. Okay, so that makes sense. So you traveled across to LA, and what did you do in LA once you got there? What was the
Well, the main goal was to stay with someone that actually was from Lakeland, and they knew all the people from the musical, but I never met him. He moved to
oh,
LA, and he like joined James Franco and was in James Franco short
oh
film,
my goodness.
into cinema and cool things and Easter eggs. So I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
I want to meet Lorenzo, and he lived in Koreatown, and we ended up staying with him and stayed with his buddy Dominique, who is in like a Selena Gomez music video, and we actually brought
Jeez.
back to Florida. And it was so crazy, and I'm all about road tripping. We used to do the road trip from Cleveland to Florida every January. So driving through West Virginia, through Tennessee, and
Oh man.
Georgia. And yeah, I'm just all about it. Like, and if I go somewhere, I want to like stay somewhere and really soak it in. And the recent pictures of New Orleans were just
Mm.
a couple weeks ago, like probably 2 months ago now. I went to New Orleans and Biloxi, and I actually visited the Honey Island Swamp, which was like
Oh, totally, dude. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
one
Nice.
of the biggest bucket lists on my life. And it was a crazy story because I, I was meeting my best friend and his parents out there. And we were supposed to meet on like a Friday, go out in Biloxi. And I'm all about, just drive and just make it easy. And I had to work all day, and he was at an airport all day. So I didn't want to
Okay.
bother. So once I get close, I call him and I'm like, hey man, what's up? Where you at? He's like, what? Like, he's like messing with me. I thought, still in Ohio. He's like, dude, I don't know where it went wrong, but I'm gonna be there tomorrow night. So I'm like, oh great, I got one night. But I already lived on the road and stuff, so one night I could survive it. And I actually went to like a marina and did a bunch of videos,
Nice.
went to
Nice.
casinos and just killed time. But the next morning, the first thing in the morning, I pulled an all-nighter, and I was sweating because I tried to sleep in my car in the parking garage, and I like
Ooh.
almost died from heat stroke. In the
Yeah,
morning,
no way.
go take a dip in the ocean or the Gulf. And then I realized there was this huge homeless gathering out there. I'm like, man, I should have slept out there with them. Because they
Right?
were smart. They had blankets and everything. I was literally shivering from sweat
Wow.
bed in my car because it was
Oh
so,
man.
and I was delirious. But then I take a little bath, and then I call up the Honey Island Swamp, and I set it up, and I drove. It was only like an hour from Biloxi to the Honey Island,
Nice.
and what I did the tour, and I asked them, to take us to spots that it's known for the Honey Island swamp monster, and I asked a bunch of questions about the Rougarou, and it was so,
Damn.
yeah, I don't know if you saw on my post on my Instagram, I had a couple pictures of this carcass. It's like 7 feet, 8 feet long,
Yes. Yes.
horrendous. And this guy, the captain, barely drove towards it because everybody was like reacting, and we were going the opposite way. But I was like hanging over, taking pictures around, and it looks like translucent skin, like you can kind of see its veins, and it
Oh,
loaded clearly. But if it was a deer, wouldn't gators have ate it? And
you would
then
think so.
said it was a gator, and I think alligators are green, so I don't know how it got tan, brown, translucent. So
Hmm.
it was weird.
That's
And
weird, man.
testing zone right by the Honey Island swamp, so it could be anything. It could
Wait,
be
a what? There's a what zone?
a space testing zone.
Space testing. Tell me about what's this about?
Yeah,
Space
yeah.
testing.
I don't know if it's NASA or
Okay.
some other space agency, but one cool story I heard from the captain, because I was just killing time. So
Yeah,
after
yeah.
I was chilling in the gift shop talking to him, and I asked him, I'm like, hey, so what's the craziest story that's happened to you out here?
Okay.
And him and his buddies were fishing down a one-way canal far out in the swamp, and they passed like these three houseboats that were all tied together, and they were fishing right by, and they get a snag. And then a guy comes out. He's like, "Hey, if you guys don't got a fish, I'm shooting." And sure,
Oh,
so he didn't have a fish, and he starts shooting. He said it was like a 22. Just starts blasting, and they just bolt off, and they
whoa.
end because it's a one way. So the shooter, he had to know that. And my captain, he's like, "Oh my God, I gotta turn around." So they come around again, and he shoots him on the way back. They report it to the sheriff. They come back, and they end up finding out that guy worked for this. Well, the cop goes in. The guy actually shoots at the cop when he comes back, and then the SWAT team comes in. They take him away for a while, and
Whoa.
they see that he was a disgruntled employee from the space station, and that he went out in the middle of the swamp and was hiding out paranoid. So it's like, what the heck
Wow.
what's going on? And the movie Hatchet, there's four of them, the Victor Crowley movies. Victor Crowley is a giant swamp monster, mutant killer, and it's an awesome slasher series, and it takes place in the
Okay.
swamp. And they say if you go in the swamp, you won't come out, and it's just so cool. And there was this one spot from a Princess and a Frog there. It's just magical grounds, man. And I want to go there so bad after dark, but I'd definitely be super scared.
Wait, Princess and the Frog, like the Disney movie?
Yeah, the Disney one. There's a wishing tree. It's just the tree. It's a wishing tree.
Yeah. Yeah,
They
yeah, yeah.
use the real life tree and they put it in the animated movie. It's
What?
yeah.
No.
And I'm all
Really?
about those Easter eggs and fun facts, and I had no clue of that.
Dude.
I love cinema, so I go to like movie locations, and I'm like, oh man, and I snapped a picture, and yeah, I'll have to send it to you.
That's one of the things I was
Picture.
going to ask you. So you're like going around to all these movie locations. Like I don't know if you watch Adam the Woo on YouTube. He does that too. He's a cool dude. But like what's your top movie location you've been to that just like blew your mind?
Probably the Truman House, man. Just because the Truman Show is
Oh,
so
yeah, yeah.
it's all about Jim Carrey. The whole show is about Truman, you
Oh
know.
man, yeah.
It's in Seaside, probably like 30 minutes west of Panama City, and my grandparents have a nice little spot in Panama City. And when Adam came down the first time to visit me, he loves that movie, so I had to take him to the spot, and the libraries over there. But I've been to a lot of cool spots. I've been to like New York Yankee Stadium, which has been in a lot of movies.
Yep. Yep.
Grand Central Station, which has been in a lot of movies. The
Mm-hmm.
in Chicago, which was at the end of Source Code, which is super cool. Here in my town, I posted a picture on my Instagram. It's a gas station and the movie called Cobra Gator.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. It's a B movie with Michael Madsen in it. And I tell all the locals around here, there's another movie called Sharkansas Women's Prison Massacre. These girls break out of prison, and this shark that can go on land hunts them down. So both movies are like about
Wow.
cryptid monsters, and there's caves and water. There's caverns that you can walk in, and then there's caves that you could dive in. down here, and they both go down to the aquifer, and who knows what's down there. And I'm all
Yeah,
about
no thanks, dude. Nope.
yeah,
Nope.
it's definitely spooky. Before the hurricane, I was gonna do the diving class, but then
Okay.
hurricane wiped out the classes for 8 months. I had
Oh yeah.
that, and now like I definitely plan on doing it, but maybe it was a sign. Maybe it would have been bad that time. But I love snorkeling and looking for fossils. Whenever I'm fishing around here, we have a metal detector, and most
Okay.
of it just find like pop tabs, but find old coins. And I don't know if you saw on my Instagram post, my favorite thing that I love to run with is the giant bone. And my buddy Ronnie,
I was going to ask you about. So this is very interesting. Go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very big on giants. And
Okay.
have you seen the page Giants of Ancient America? There's 800 newspaper articles describing.
So I've read some of those articles, and I'd assume you're talking about the mounds across the U.S. and like how Abraham Lincoln had that quote. And so
Yeah,
I know of what you're talking about. I just haven't been to that site. It's probably I'll check it out after this. Yeah.
yeah. It's just an Instagram page, and he's just compiled
Okay.
like 800 plus newspaper articles from different decades,
Oh wow.
different states, different countries. Just real newspaper articles. Because back in the day, before they had censorship on the truth and a true agenda, now we're living in like a simulation, a TV show. It's basically Jersey Shore. But
That
our
means we're in
history.
trouble. If the whole U.S. is Jersey Shore, that's bad news, dude. But I
Yeah,
get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
we've got a
Yeah.
situation.
You guys.
But
Oh, snap. Screen
boom,
capture.
boom.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm from Ohio, and there's 10,000 mounds in Ohio.
Yeah.
And down here in
Hmm.
Florida, there's a bunch of mounds. I've taken a couple pictures next to them, and there's thousands of skeletons that have been excavated over the years. And I've
Crazy.
had a chance to actually hold the first metacarpal thumb bone of a giant right in my hand. And my buddy Ronnie, who is an ex-military veteran, has lived all
Okay.
around the world, has served in our military, and is a true hero. And he takes me on some crazy adventures to Bellamy Bridge and Alamo Cave and a bunch of wild spots down in Rocky Creek where he lives. And there's
Okay.
giant sloths. And I don't know if you saw that video that I posted yesterday. I interviewed a guy on the side of a gas station.
Yeah, that was wild, dude.
He's like, yeah, this Native American buddy of mine, he witnessed the dog man. And I'm like, all right, I need to talk to this dude. And I've seen him driving. I've seen him walking when I'm driving on the side of the road, but it just never times up. And yesterday it timed up, and I was not expecting what he said. He said that thing was like 30 feet tall, which is crazy.
Okay, that's pretty tall. Yeah. Yeah.
30 feet tall. Yeah.
That's
And
tall.
he said
That's
it
tall.
jumped and disappeared into a dot. So clearly it's some kind of supernatural thing. And I think there's many different forms of dog man. There's
Mm,
Rougarou, dog man, big black dogs, werewolf.
okay.
Of course, those are all just different names of them, but you can get bit by a wolf, turn into it. You could sin for 7 years straight. You can get cursed by a Cajun woman in Louisiana and turn into a werewolf. You could turn into a werewolf because it's in your blood, like Teen Wolf, Michael J. Fox. There's all these different.
Hey, and by the way, thanks for saying Michael J. Fox and not the piece of garbage new Teen Wolf. Like, you get
Yeah,
extra points for that. Good
for
job.
sure. Is the MTV Teen Wolf even related to that one? Like,
So I don't know. I'm making fun of it because it's one of those shows
yes,
that you know what I'm saying.
I,
Like the
I
original, like yeah. But
definitely,
maybe it's good,
definitely.
maybe it's not. But whatever. But
I want to watch Teen Wolf Part 2. I think Jason Bateman is the guy who's in
I
it.
think you're right. Yep,
Got
totally.
around to it, but I definitely will.
Um, I wanted so you kind of touched on it, but tell me a little bit more about the bone. So do you have just saw the bone, or do you have that
Yeah,
bone, or like
yeah. Well, Ronnie has it in his possession. I have I printed off a couple pictures this morning
awesome?
because I
Okay.
wanted to make sure people could see
Wow,
what I'm talking about. And yeah, but this Ronnie found this in Rocky Creek, Florida, where there's
man.
a plethora of Bigfoot sightings and Native American Indian mounds. And he says there's a collarbone somewhere deep in
Wow.
stone as well. But yeah, it's a first metacarpal thumb bone, and it's clearly bigger than my entire thumb, and it looks like it's wooden. It's so old.
Wow.
It's a true living fossil, and
Mm.
it's very very heavy. And a lot of people tell me, "Oh, I want to do you need to do analysis." Well, we've seen what the Smithsonian's done, and they've wiped out a lot of bones. They would come onto people's property and excavate their mounds without their permission. We're
Really? Oh,
unfield
wow.
an unfair playing field.
Oof.
I'm not that naive.
Mm.
I'll, we'll chuck that bone to the ocean before we give it to any of those guys. And
Totally, totally.
people would think that's crazy to say, but dude, I've had enough playing their game. Like
Mm.
we all know there's thousands of sightings. There are bones. There's scat. There's hair. Scott Carpenter has over 100 DNA particles. Going ranging from hair, scat, blood. Um, I think even semen. Like it just go. The possibilities out there have all been covered. MK
Mm.
has spotted some things that people haven't even touched on in this field. And
And so
translucent,
just to verify, you're talking about Bigfoot now, correct?
yes,
Yeah,
Bigfoot.
yep.
But Bigfoot is a wide topic, though. It started
Totally. Yep.
with Sasquatch, but then also Mothman, Titans, the creature from the Black Lagoon, Gillman, werewolves at this point, Dogman. There is so many cryptids that
Mm.
must have a conscious mind, just like humans. Mermaids, there are more mermaids than there are humans by far. We've only discovered a little bit of the ocean. Just think, Atlantis is
That's
just the tip of
100%
the spear.
accurate, dude.
Man?
Ocean stuff freaks me out. Like you go down in the depths and the stuff down there blows your mind. Like it's some
100%,
weird,
man.
weird stuff, dude.
Lake
Yeah.
Erie even has hundreds
Sure.
of UFO sightings, and the Lake Erie monster, the serpents, man. The Great Lakes are something special. And then the
Mm.
Gulf here, when I'm deep sea fishing, I'm keeping an eye out for giant whales, mermaids, and the Pensacola serpent. Because a couple years ago, more than a decade, big more than just a couple of years ago in history, a couple of kids got killed outside Pensacola, and they blame a shark. But
Oh, for real.
in the 1800s, all these sailors seen 8 of these giant 30-foot serpents leaving the Mississippi, entering the Gulf, and
Really?
it's just an oarfish. But I definitely think it's a
Oh,
plus
wow.
creature, like
Dude.
kind of like Gyarados or Lapras. Like these things are still alive, and there's been sounds that have been recorded 10 times the size of the Empire State Building. So that's like the size of Godzilla and monsters from Pacific Rim. So
Mm.
Bigfoot, even this 30-foot dog man as tall as a telephone pole is not that far out, when
Mm.
giants used to be the size of the island of Maui. Or this are you big on mud fossils?
You're gonna have to tell me what that is. I've actually never heard of that. Go ahead.
Mud fossils are mountains, that used to be
Mm.
titans. And there's a lot of cool stuff like Mud Fossil University on YouTube, and then Seeing is Believing on Instagram. Both
Okay.
post gems, man, with a lot to back it up. But there are mountains that surround us. And back in old Scottish and Irish folklore, they used to talk about the mountains coming alive at night. And then
Mm.
when blood came down, it stopped and froze the mountains. It turned them to stone. This is just
Wow.
ancient tale that goes back to the Canadian days, the ancient Native American days, and even over in Australia, they've been talking about this. All the tribes been talking about mountains coming alive. If you look on the New Hampshire 2000 coin, it's a man on a mountain, and they put that right on our money just to laugh at us, put it right on our face. It's
Well, the old man. So yeah, I grew up literally 50 feet south of the New Hampshire state line, Massachusetts. So I know what you're talking about. Man on the mountain. And it was sad when half his face fell off, and then it's like, I used to be there. But yeah, that's interesting, right? Like those old tales. Like there's got to be at least some glimmer of truth in all those old tales. Um, yeah, it's crazy to think about, right? I wanted to
100%,
ask you,
man.
like, what is your name Bigfoot Anonymous? Like, what was the does that have a story behind it, or just something you came up with?
Yeah, it's kind of a mixture of multiple things. The movie V for Vendetta, the Anonymous,
Mm.
it's kind of against the
Oh,
system
totally. Okay, I get it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and like anarchy,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
also Anonymous. Like, we don't need names. The story, the
Mm.
information, the work is what's important. And
Okay.
also
I
on
like it.
SoundCloud, I narrate Bigfoot encounters
You
and
do. Yeah.
Bigfoot Anonymous. Yeah, and I'm working on like getting them. Last night I screen capped for 8 minutes on my phone, and then it said this has no sound. SoundCloud doesn't give.
Oh man.
So I'm trying to find a way to get my SoundCloud work onto like Instagram and YouTube, just because
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
of Bigfoot encounters that only people on SoundCloud have heard, and I know people would rush to it just because Dixie Cryptids Can't
Mm-hmm.
How to Hunt, David Paulides, they are doing a great job
Yep.
telling stories and people sending in their stories and their encounters, and it's really important that we all share this information because people are vanishing at an alarming rate. Missing 411 is a real thing. People vanish not far from here, not far from where you are in New Hampshire. And it's so scary that the government and all the big brother who's supposed to be looking out for us is not. They just leave us out there to dry. And I think it's up to us to raise awareness of what's really out there, just so people can go camping in the right state of mind.
Mm.
All be
Interesting.
armed when we're going out there. We should all have GPS personal locator beacons.
Mm.
We all need to have camelbacks so
Oh yeah.
we come prepared because
Oh
I've
yeah.
been dehydrated out there. I've had some close calls and it is not cool, not fun. And the more
Mm-hmm.
I read, the more I hear, the more I see. Oh man, we need to take it serious. We need to be safe because
Oh,
there's
I
second
agree with you
chances.
100%. Hiking is the real deal, dude. You got to be careful. There's not many
100%, man.
second chances.
No, no, and just being here, we've had our second chances.
Mm.
I've been dehydrated out there during the day, stuck on a cliffside over in Bristol at the Garden of Eden. There's this trail that this guy in the '60s he wrote a book and made a documentary stating that it may be the true Garden of Eden because over there in that park, right across from where Stacy Brown got his famous thermal
Yeah, 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 totally.
there's the Patterson Gimlin footage during the day, and then there's Stacy Brown's thermal footage. That's
Right. Yeah. No, it's
pinnacle.
legit. Yeah.
And that happened right across the river at Torreya State Park. But this at the Garden
Okay.
Trail, it's right on the Apalachicola River. And 27 of the 28 trees in the Bible are there at that park. Wild. Noah used gopher wood to build the ark. Gopher wood is also known as Torreya. Only place Torreya grows in the whole wide world is that place. And the good book, it says it's a delta that breaks into 4 rivers. And there's only 2 places in the world that's exactly like that. Right here and in Siberia. And Siberia is cold most of the year. It used to be exotic, so 50-50 with that, but it's definitely sacred land. Most of Florida is super flat. This is valleys, and hurricane hit there, tornadoes have hit there. There's been Civil War deaths up there. I really think there's ley lines, the pressure points of the earth.
Oh man. I was like,
Right
yeah,
there.
dude. So that's an intense theory. And like I've never heard that. And I think that might be worth looking into a little bit just because I think it'd be interesting to read about. But okay, the thing about ley lines is I wish there was like the accurate map where you could know, like, okay, the ley lines go through Iowa here or they go through Florida here. Like, it seems like there's so many different interpretations of that, right? Like, what do you think?
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's one thing I guess they have a map. The people in charge, they got it mapped down. But us, we that in ourselves when we're lucid dreaming, we need to take it serious and meditate and go to these lines. And if we can reach a level that these Bigfoot, this is where I'm getting at.
Okay.
Our our third eye, our brain is so contaminated that we exist like we do. We have 5 senses. We are existing on this plane. Their third eye is wide open. Their brain has not been contaminated. Their soul is free. I am sure that, you know, they talk about them disappearing and going
Mm.
portals. And I believe in portals and I believe in disappearing, but I also believe they are masters of vibration. And protons and electrons, they have the possibility of being particle and wave form. Most of the time we're particle form because we're solid. But if we could really channel ourselves, we could become wave form. So I believe that's how they can just become waves. Or just in a simpler thing, they're just masters of vibration, you know, just playing angles and playing light. They can just work that. But I truly believe the waveform, because if you go into like the Montana vortex, you actually shrink in size. Like your physical body could shrink in size in certain locations. So they are able to channel that at all times. And think with their ley lines, their eyes could probably just see a golden line, or at least feel it right in their soul. Golden lines just on Earth. So find the ley lines, find the Bigfoot, find Sasquatch, find God. It's the bridge to our creator, you know?
That's a very interesting interpretation. Is the Montana? So I've never heard of the Montana vortex. Is that like where you have the mystery spot, or like what is the Montana vortex? What's
Yeah,
that about?
it's very similar to like Skinwalker Ranch, but it's like an
Oh, okay,
go to, and this man takes you on a tour, and David Paulides did a video there, but
okay,
disappearances and Bigfoot sightings and UFO encounters, but you can go
really,
tour, and they have these spots that they have mapped out that it's like you walk right here and you'll shrink, you walk backwards right here, like it's very cool. And on YouTube
really.
they do it perfectly, and they take you right on the tour. It's so fascinating, and the fact that we can become waveform and shrink just opens up the possibilities. We could create realities in our dreams, you know, deja vu, eye to eye contact. Like human beings are magical, but the ancient ones in the forest, our big brother, they're supernatural, you know, super space natural. They're so natural that it seems magical. But if we actually wanted to, you know, we could do that too. But we've just been so contaminated, and Wi-Fi is zapping the crap out of us, and you know, we're particle form most of the
So
time.
I agree with you in the fact that so humans right now are so distracted by technology that I think Bigfoot could be in the back of my backyard and I wouldn't see him there for days. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like it's like, yeah, we're not noticing nature anymore. I totally, yeah, we're distracted.
And
It's
they are
crazy.
masters of disguise. You know,
Yeah, totally.
I keep my eyes peeled when I'm driving, and I love
Mm,
on the in the passenger seat. I just got back from Jacksonville, and we rode right through the Osceola National Forest. And in 2006, a couple rode through the same exact road, same exact hour, and witnessed a Bigfoot cross the road. So I did
really.
cool video, and I kept my eyes peeled. And honestly, the video, of course, is to spread awareness, but I love looking at it and zooming in and looking for something, because they're just as curious as us, and they could feel
Uh-huh. Yep.
vibrations from long, you know, they can hit us with sonar and just different abilities like infrasound, that they could just break it down to the vibrational level that
Mm.
think it's like them entering our mind, but really we're everywhere at all times, you know, just like how humans are. You think of someone, and then the next second they call you. You know, it's life is a lot stranger than
That's interest,
give it
dude. That's
credit for.
interesting. Yeah.
Magic is
Wow.
real, man. Heaven is real. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. I always pull that one out when people think I'm just like a little crazy kid. I'm like, hey, you know, I believe in heaven. And my big thing with that is handiwork. You know, the heavens declare the glory of God. The heaven is real. It's not a metaphor. He used his hand.
Mm.
Heaven is up, hell is down. There's pillars in between. And I think the Bigfoot and all these monsters that lurk in between, they're in the caverns. And Steve Isdall on How to Hunt, he recently did a video on talking about crazy Bigfoot theories on they've been underground digging for 13,000 years, waiting for
Wow.
land on the surface to burn out and die out, and then they'll reclaim their earth back. Are they the true ancient ones of this planet, you know? And then we're like the experiment. you know, the gods or the aliens or the ones from outside the wall, outside the dome came out and they said, hey, we need something new. And they mixed themselves with the Bigfoot and got human. Who knows? You know, the
That's
mitochondrial
interesting.
DNA of a Bigfoot is human. It's the female side is human. The nuclear side, which is male, is unknown. So it's just like the fallen ones, just like the Nephilim. You know, the fallen ones come down to earth and mate with the women and then create these demigods, and now they're cherished and looked to like Thor, you know, and now they have movies for them. But these things used to cause destruction, and that's why God brought the flood. And I'm not too religious, but I'm very spiritual. I try to soak it in from everybody, you know. And every religion, every continent has giants, wild men, and tales of Leviathan and Behemoth. So we
And
need
the flood, the big
in this
the
reality that
flood,
everything's
you
so
know.
normal, you
Yep.
know? Nothing is normal. We need to stop acting like it's normal. Monsters are real, ghosts are real, energy's never created nor destroyed. I heard that on your last episode with the guys from Expedition Unknown.
That was fun, right? Dude,
Yeah,
that
they were
was like
totally
that
groovy,
was
man.
amazing. That was
I
good.
want to hang out with them and Bobo and
I know, right?
have a
Can you
little
imagine those guys just hanging out back in the
oh,
day?
for sure,
Did
man.
you see the pictures? You saw the pictures, right?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good. Yeah, the
It,
pictures are cool.
with the arcing tree that they were in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It's
Hey,
super crazy, man.
so you're a traveler. What's your ultimate cryptozoology themed road trip? What would be the ultimate places to go to?
Well, it's got to America wise, it's got to
Yeah.
end in Bluff Creek, you know. And I
Okay.
love to hit up like Oregon, and I want to check out the volcanoes in Hawaii. Um,
Mm,
I also want to go down through Texas and through Brownsville and just check out deep into Mexico and check out the legends of the chupacabra and the werewolf
mm.
there, because they're into some crazy dark stuff
There's
there.
some stuff.
And
Yeah.
as long as I'm safe and you know got some good people around me, I'm down to check it out. But I definitely want to go overseas to like Transylvania, you know, go to Ireland where my family started. You know, there's a very cool Irish legend about a farmer named Connor, and his cows go missing, so he searches all night and he gets delirious and he knocks on a door, and it's this woman wolf, and she's like, we've been waiting for you, come sit down. So he sits down and he gets
Oh boy.
these three big wolves, and they're like being mean to him, intimidating him. And he's like, oh my, you know, he's getting nervous, about to see his end. And then the big wolf comes in and, you know, gets the three guys out of the way and says, hey, do you remember saving a young wolf with a thorn through his side when you were younger? He's like, yeah, I remember. I fed it, you know, nursed it back to health. He goes, well, that was me. And now I'm saving you. And then the next morning he wakes
Nice.
and he's on a hay bale, and he has three new cows in his pasture, and they grow to be the greatest cows, and he grows to be rich and successful. And it just, you know, there's a lot to take from that story, but
Mm.
you have to follow your destined path and be who you are. And so many people are trying to be someone else, and it's like, be weird, dude. Be into ghosts if that's what you're into. Talk about Bigfoot. I work at a comic book store and sell fish and stuff, and like I love talking to these people about weird stuff, about
I love
ghosts and
it.
paranormal stuff. Because I'm always just trying to get some material and try to go run with it, you know. People told me stories about their family living on an Indian mound, him being possessed in his sleep, waking up above his mom with a gun on her. It's like, dude,
Whoa, yikes.
I would have never known that if
Wow.
you know. And I got this brother and sister that sent me like 7 stories that I'm going to put them in my letters from family and friends chapter in my book. And I just love hearing a bunch of crazy stories. But the craziest story from that guy was they were driving and they saw a pond, and he saw thousands of gnats form into a man and then walk off a bank. It's like,
No way. No way.
Bigfoot is so normal compared to most of these monsters, you know, even like the Mothman. I'm trying to figure it out. Is it gargoyle? Is it a Bigfoot hybrid angel? Is it one of these Egyptian gods? I am not sure, but it's fascinating because clearly things were happening. People died in Point Pleasant, and there's
True.
still happening
True.
to this day.
Yep.
And there was sightings in other places like Chicago
Exactly. Yep.
and down in Florida. There's a lot of Thunderbird sightings, and it's just crazy. Thunderbirds, are they pterodactyls, or are they giant eagles, or are they flying serpents? I really don't know,
Wait,
man.
they're seeing like lots of Thunderbirds in Florida. I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, down in the Everglades, and then down over by Pensacola, which is not very
Really?
And there's a lot of swampland here in the Panhandle, and there's lots of stories of Thunderbirds, giant boar, like monster hogs that are like 8 feet tall with huge tusks. And I got a picture of one. It was just a normal boar, but it had its head cut off. And me and my mom went fishing. Didn't see anything. Fished for about an hour. Come out, and then we see the dead carcass. So we don't know if it was a hunter that just wasted the meat, or something got a hold of it. But it's just always something going on, man. This soil here is stained from the hurricane, because everybody here was traumatized. And then man, and they say in the South, 1 in 3 houses are haunted. So walk down your street and you're gonna see.
That's intense.
It's crazy. And
dude,
even
tell me,
in my trailer, after the hurricane, I had banging on the other side, and I'd go over there and I'd see dogs, and I'd just hear from locals. They'd say that they'd run dogs and like hunt during the night, but I really don't know what it was. And people stolen off my front porch, like, sometimes these monsters come right to your front door. So lock up,
Yeah, definitely lock up.
We're freaking safe. We're never safe,
Dude, tell me about the you're coming out with you're starting to write a few books, you were telling me. Tell me about that.
Yeah, man. Well, I've always been a writer. I have a journal somewhere here, and it's so cool. In 2000, I have something from 3rd grade saying I was 8 years old. I was born in 1992. It was the 3rd grade. I said, I want to be a writer, a football player, and a singer. And I'm a football referee now, and I'm kind of a singer, and I'm a writer, so this is what it's meant to be, and I was a writer for the high school newspaper, and was a sports writer, and I was a MMA writer as well, and I'd go to all these and worked did freelance for a couple like small magazines and websites. So I'd really write for those, and I'd use those articles for my school. And me and my buddy did that, FPMMA. And I was the head editor, but my buddy, he posted this article that mentioned alcohol. And we weren't drinking, didn't mention us drinking, just mentioned that it was flowing there, because it was a fight. It's fight night. That was a detail, man. We're painting the picture, And we both got, I got removed, stripped from the editor position, and taken to the threatened expulsion. And ever since then, I've had a huge chip on my shoulder for censorship. I got nothing for it. It's the truth or it's nothing. It's the story and all the details, or don't even bother me.
Totally.
So I've always been writing. I'm a rapper. I written movie scripts. I helped tweak some scenes and songs for the musical, and I've always been working on these cryptid journals, and now I finally compiled them. And my first book is called Eerie Swamps Roadtrip to Eden. And it's Eerie Swamps because it's Lake Erie down to the Florida swamps. And Trip to Eden because the last chapter ends at the Garden of Eden. And there I meet the serpent, of course, and have a reflection of my whole entire life, of course. Wow. It's about a 15-stop journey, road trip, guided diary of my encounters, ranging from the Crybaby Bridge, White Shoes, Lake Erie Monster, Mansfield Prison, Moundsville Prison, Asheville Castles, the Florida State University haunted campus where Ted Bundy killed those Providence Canyon, it's the Little Grand Canyon. And then a bunch of stories down here like Bellamy Bridge, the Ocheesee Pond Wildman, which is a famous Bigfoot that was caught just about 15 minutes from here in the 1800s. He was caught by Civil War veterans and Indian gatherers that teamed up to take down this menace that was taking livestock and the food, and the crops, and bothering the children and the women. So they captured this thing and they sent him off to the hospital, and they thought it was an escaped lunatic, and he was covered in hair, and they took him to the Chattahoochee Hospital, and he died 3 years later, and he's still buried over there. And I talk to people a couple times a week. Yeah.
Huh.
And he's buried right by the golf course out there. I want to go out there, not even dig him up, just go out there and sit with them, because I've had enough of people saying, oh, there's no evidence, there's none of this. Man, in the Humboldt Museum over in California, they used to have skulls on display, but then bought out, the Smithsonian, the Men in Black, they all get involved. It's just not fair. Our history has been swept under a rug, so we don't even know who we are. No wonder our country and our society is so false, chasing false idols, because we don't even know who our true ancestors are. We need to figure that out, because that is our bridge to our creator. That's our answers to the sky. We go to church every Sunday, reading the same stuff. We need to feel, we need to read between the lines, we need to be. And it's just so crazy. And it goes in so many different directions. Like Bigfoot is a joke to some people, but it's my connection to God. So it's no joke to me, man.
Interesting.
This is as serious as it gets, And my book is just a journey of paranormal stories, haunted stories, and just other stuff in between, being chased out of golf courses late at night when we're trying to fish in their ponds, some, for example, fish. And when you're breaking the law and doing crazy stuff, other crazy stuff happens. There's a place called Eerie that you have to go through the cellar to get in, and the neighbors always call the police, and so the police are always looking, and then they send the dogs, and then you're worried about Irma, the ghost, the girl that killed her family and hung herself in the attic.
Oh man.
But I have to worry about being arrested.
When's this come out, Connor? When does this book come out?
Really, it's set on Kindle for December 25th, but
oh wow, okay,
move that date up, so it has to be submitted by the 21st. But I'm adding the pictures. I just got pretty much my final picture from my grandma yesterday, so I just have to reformat it and submit it. Now I have to wait 72 hours, and then I'm trying to get it out as soon as possible.
Yeah, dude, totally.
I have 3 other books that are 95% done, so he's going, because I am kind of nervous about next year with lockdowns and free speech, and they're really trying to take our freedoms. So I'm trying to get my books out, and maybe people can, when I lose my job at the game store because it's not essential, because they're going to shut down the dang world again, I'm going to be like, oh, please, but no, it's not even about selling my book. It's about the story being told, man.
I'm digging the stories. The stories in it sound amazing, dude. Like, that's pretty cool.
I'm so excited because the Eerie swamps, man, it is like the 15 close to my heart, And the second one is called Monsters and Mysteries Around the Corner. And that one gets really wild because it's kind of the same concept, around the corner, but this one follows all my journeys around America. So it's got LA, it's got New Orleans, it's got New Mexico. So it's around the corner in that sense. And then the third book is going to be my baby. This one's the best one. Big Brother Bigfoot. And that talks about Bigfoot, 15 creatures and hominid creatures that I have researched and looked after and camped with over my years. And I got a list of a few right here. I'll name them. The Ohio Grassman, the Allegheny, the Clear Lake creature, which is a Canadian creature. I spent a summer up in Canada when I was 10 or 11. It was before I was 12. I knew I was in New York that year. But I spent a summer up in Canada fishing on this place called Clear Lake, and these Clear Lake cottages with my family friends called the Colemans. And there was a Bigfoot legend up there. And it was actually like a friendly one that would look after you and warn you. And there was really was always coming, and you'd hear roaring from the woods. And
Crazy.
you know, when you're a little kid, when you're 7, 8 years old, 10, 12 years old, you know, monsters are real, you know, so you just
Mm-hmm.
absorb it a different way than these adults with their blinders. Because I've had adult encounters too, and so have my friends, and I've had them type out encounters for my book and stuff. So we talk about it, and
Cool.
we're like, did that? What happened? It's blurry to me, you know. And we get hit on so many different levels because these creatures have ability to make us get blurry, and then our mind and our primal instinct, when we're in fear, when we're in danger, we just go into primal mode. Like we can't we absorb
Mm-hmm.
it on such a
Yep.
deep level beyond memory. We feel it on feeling, you know. And that's when people, you know, get the chills 30 years later. They're like, oh my god, I just remembered that. Like, what?
Mm.
You know, a smell. But it is far out. And then the Susquehanna seal, which is another one I love,
Okay.
just like the Australian bunny yip, and it's the
Oh
Susquehanna
yeah.
River in New York, Cooperstown, New York, and
Mm-hmm.
flows down into Pennsylvania. But it's just like a bunny yip from Australia. It's like this beaver man type creature, like a seal.
Oh, weird.
Uh, we found this, like, us our whole baseball team was swimming and had these trampolines, and there was this one pit of just dead fish that we had no clue back in the day.
Whoa.
And now I look back, you know, just doing research, and we find out there's a creature on that river called the
Oh
Susquehanna.
man.
And clearly there's a population of that creature, you know, there's probably thousands of them. And then when I first started this book, getting into giants, you know, really researching them, I found a bunch of Susquehanna River Valley newspaper articles, and there's
Wow.
horns and horns. You know, I'm big on these giants. Like, these are like hybrid humans. Where did the horns fit in? You know, like, it's crazy. Is it goat man? Is it Baphomet? Or is it just
Wow. Yikes. Yeah.
like inbreeding? You know,
That's crazy,
or
man.
some people get tails. You know, it's sometimes, you know, if you have a million people, a couple are gonna have horns. You know, but it all connects, man. It connects, like, when I'm 27, it connects when I'm 12, and it connects to the stories I was watching when I was 6. You know, when I'm watching
Totally.
UFO abductees with my mom. You know, it's so wild. And then it gets into the Ocheezy Wild Man, the Florida Skunk Ape, Honey Island
Mm-hmm.
Monster, which I was just at. This, which is so cool with this Big Brother Bigfoot. It's 15 monsters, but it's all different parts of time, and
That's awesome.
it like it goes in an order of, like, if I'm going back now, you know, so it's all different. It's gonna be jumpy, it's gonna be time travel, and it's a journey of consciousness too. I'm all about, you know, what's next, heaven, you know, what's inside our mind, what's inside our soul, who are we, you know, what are mushrooms really doing to our brain, LSD, LSA. You know, when I want to go to Peru and do ayahuasca, because I just want to feel what's really out there. I'm so sick of living in a bubble, so to say, you know, and I try to break through that bubble as much as I can, but, you know, they just keep forming it new. And one day my soul will break through, you know, and it's just a constant fight. And I love it. It's a constant fight, and it pushes me to just thrive and just fight. And I'm always watching movies and talking to people and just trying to figure out what's between the lines, you know?
That's awesome, Connor. Dude, this has been a super, super fun time. Um, Before as we wind things down, are there any other things you want to make sure that you share? Like anything else you're working on? Or I mean, we're definitely gonna be watching for those books to start coming out soon. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. I have one more book that I'm really proud of. I have a
All
couple
right.
more other ones but listen to
Jeez.
this. This one's the best title. Every camp has a crystal lake, and that
Oh man.
all about haunted campuses and
Yeah.
camps, you know. So I've traveled to Ohio University, Florida State, Tallahassee Community College, Cooperstown Dreams Park, Cedar Point, Disney, Kings Island, which Kings Island inspired R.L. Stein's The Beast, which is
Oh
really
really?
It's a wooden roller coaster called the Beast, and then there's the Son of Beast, and it's the highest, fastest, only wooden roller coaster with a flip. And there's a patch of woods there that they say an actual monster lurks, so it's like the thing, like a Rougarou, of course. And my sister and I rode the I'm not sure which one got closed down, but we rode them both. But the Son of Beast, I think, got closed down permanently after like 21 people got injured. But just a lot of crazy stuff, you know.
That's
and like
awesome, dude.
Falls, Ford's Theater, where Abraham Lincoln got his head shot off, but did he? You know, I believe.
Wait,
Middle Earth, sipping from the fountain.
Sorry, I'm not laughing. I was very taken aback by that statement. I'm not laughing at you. I was like, no. I'm pretty sure Lincoln is dead, but okay. So
I think he's still alive now. I think Abraham Lincoln is sipping from the fountain of youth in Middle Earth.
Oh,
enjoying the inner sun, you know, probably sniping Hitler off the Tyrannosaurus Rex over there.
Oh no.
We've gone too deep. Up to the Mayans. Where did all the people go that disappeared? You know, even Mormon religions, they say that a tribe went into Middle Earth and they're waiting
to hollow Earth.
End times. It really sounds like Hanson's theory, you know.
It's pretty wild, dude. It's pretty wild.
Heck yeah,
man, Connor, this has been fun. So I'm definitely. So I want you to say where if my listeners want to follow you and make sure they don't miss the books and all that. Like, how can they follow you? What's your social media and all that?
Yeah. Well, I have a bunch of YouTube accounts, but Bigfoot Anonymous. If you search Bigfoot Anonymous, my account will come up. If you search Bigfoot Anonymous Eerie Swamps, a playlist will come up with like 200 of my adventures, going from deep sea fishing, and caves, telling scary stories, climbing on ruins, a bunch of cool stuff. And then SoundCloud, Bigfoot Anonymous, and that's some of my proudest work. I have hours of cool Bigfoot stories that I gathered from all different places, and I just listen to those at night sometimes, and it's just like, oh, that's awesome.
God. Yeah, some cool stuff.
I love getting a bunch of new information from it, you know. And then Instagram is Bigfoot Anonymous.
Yep.
And definitely follow me on there. Reach out if anybody else ever wants to chat it up. I love talking, man, because it's
dude.
You know, me and you can only create something that me and you can only create. We can
go. That's true.
You know,
that's true.
It's a beautiful thing, and like I said, man, this is a bucket list. Like I envisioned this many times. Like it was so dope. Like, oh man, it's truly an honor. And I was wondering if I could play a quick song on my guitar real quick.
I would love it. I would say only thing I'd recommend is if you can get close to the microphone, that'd be great. But yeah, go ahead, man. Play us a song.
Yes, sir. The song is called History Repeats.
All right.
There's a nighttime in her eyes and she comes alive. There's moonlight in her blood and she does it real good. The monster in the swamp can smell her coming. It's hell of the eye, you better get to running. There's nighttime in her eyes and she comes alive. Fireflies in the sky when she dances around the fire. Stars shine bright but they stay down in desire. The one they chose to tell her no never came back, never told a soul. There's nighttime in her eyes and she comes alive. There's nighttime in her eyes and she comes alive. There's nighttime in her eyes and she comes alive. Down by the river they called her a sinner. I ran every summer and hid every winter. There's nighttime in her eyes and she comes alive. Yeah.
Dude, that was rocking. I love it, man. That's cool. Do you have that recorded anywhere? Or?
No, I don't, man. I need to,
Now
but
you should. That'd be cool. Put it up on SoundCloud or something, man. That's cool. I love it.
yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely will. I need to just get. Well, I did take a video of it and I put it on my Instagram, so that's the
All right.
most official it got, and I always add in that third verse, which is really cool, and that's just the hidden Easter egg of the song. And
Very
yeah,
cool. Very cool.
it's a cryptid themed song, and it's a simple jam, and I play that out there when I'm Bigfoot hunting and camping, and I bring different vibrations, to
Mm,
I like to smoke CBD out there, play guitar, play my ocarina. I bring my EMF
nice.
here, my
All right. Yeah,
I
yeah,
bring
dude.
my dowsing rods, try to
Wow.
date with
Oh man.
spirits and find water, find gold, find the truth, man. We
For
if we
real.
channel ourselves, we already have the truth. We already have the answers.
Mm,
Created in God's image. Like we just need to channel what we already have, break through all the layers, and then we have everything. And so every day I'm just trying to shed it all, try to shed it all.
interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting, dude. Well, man, thanks for one for winning the raffle and for coming on. I have a feeling that you would have gotten on here anyways. I think it was meant to be honest. So
Heck
thank you
yeah.
for coming on. Um, again, follow at Bigfoot Anonymous on Instagram, and I'll have the rest in the show notes. But yeah, listeners, thanks for listening again. Um, Connor is going to stay on for a little bit longer for the Bigfoot Society After Dark and share some stories. We'll see what he's got up his sleeves. And yeah, thanks for listening and have a good one, guys. All right, Connor. Well, here's a question for you. So, if you could go on a Bigfoot expedition with any three Bigfoot researchers, and they could be alive or deceased from over the years, who would your top three researchers to go on your Bigfoot expedition? Who would they be?
That's an awesome question. Well, first and foremost, it would be Bobby Short. She was a big Bigfoot pioneer, and she was an author, and she was a female in this industry, and she was big on the truth. She dug through a lot of tunnels that the watchers put up a lot of walls trying to slow her
Hmm.
down, but she definitely got through. Another one would definitely be Steve Isdall from How to Hunt. He has taken this community by storm and showed people that there is truth out there, and that we should take a no nonsense approach to all of this. And then my last one is my favorite one to bust out on people, and that's Jesus Christ, because he was a Bigfooter before any of us. There's a story of him riding across the giant St. Christopher's shoulders across an icy river. So a
Hmm.
giant carried baby Jesus across an icy, raging river in the ancient times. So my man up there, Jesus Christ would be another one. But there's so many cool people
Yeah,
in the
totally,
field right now, man. And I would love to chop it up with. And I hope I get a chance to go to Bluff Creek and camp with some people, and maybe the Mothman Festival to check it out
totally.
with a bunch of people. uh, Asheville, and I know there was supposed to be one that Cliff and Bobo were hosting here at Torreya State Park right before the hurricane. But I just hope something aligns like that in 2021, that we could all just come together and bring our vibrations and bring our tactics and our energy and just come for a perfect time.
Dude, I love it. I love it.
I but when you're out there in the woods, you got to be out there with people you trust, man,
That's
because
true. That's
it's
true.
major, because they could be the ones to save your life or end your life, man. Because if
100%.
you're missing and they have a gun at the camp, they have to know to shoot once in a while, to just it's so crazy. Just people need to raise their awareness and come together, just because people are vanishing at alarming rates, man. And I don't care who's out there with me. You're my family when we're out there on the path, man. So I'm looking forward to sharing the path with many people.
Legit.
And
Legit.
I've also learned from a couple people that they've put me in situations that I never would have put myself in. So when you're out there with others, you have to be ready for anything, because vibrations are susceptible to anything, and they reflect and bounce off multiple things out there in the woods, in the canyons, in the caves. And oh man, it's crazy. And Jack and the Beanstalk is real. Let me add that in there too. I didn't get a chance to say that
I love
earlier,
it.
but there are lands in the heavens, man. There are giants.
Dude,
Jack is
for real.
real. David versus Goliath. You know, the Tennessee
True.
Titans,
True.
New York Giants, the San Francisco Giants. The truth is right in our eyes. The Cleveland Browns, baby. That's the Cleveland Bigfoot. That's the dog pound. That's dog man. Come on, you know? And
Damn.
so when it's the Browns and the Bengals, it's a real battle. It's a real battle. And the truth is right out in the open. And sometimes we just have to open our eyes, man. And I have chemical damage on my glasses, but I do my best on seeing clearly, you know?
Dude,
And
I love it. I love it, man.
it's
Good
a
stuff.
journey every
Good
day,
stuff.
man. I wake up and try to remember my dreams and write them down, and just and go with the flow and see where it takes me, and try to break down as many walls as possible, and try to empty as many. I mean, if I have bricks that I'm about to build a wall, I try to kick it right over, man. I just try to absorb everything. You know, I know nothing. I know nothing. I'm just a blank slate. I'm just Play-Doh. I'm just trying to be formed in this world. I'm trying to take shape, you know. It's so much more than everything. It's so much,
Love
man.
it. Love it. Thanks, Connor.